Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if this is your first time joining. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content or any new videos that I have coming out. Today we have a little DCU update. There's not a lot of news um, coming out of the DCU right now. I think Warner Brothers and the DCU is still reeling from the last Peacemaker episode. I've seen a lot more videos going up about people coming out against the show because of a particular scene. So I think they're kind of laying low and letting the dust settle off of that. But just a few things that I do have. Speaking of Peacemaker, we're going to talk about this. DC Curiosity tweeted out, I believe this is Twitter, or X, says, "Hey, James Gunn, Peacemaker Episode 1 effing ruled. Of course fans are bickering online about the Justice League / Justice Gang switch-up, claiming that you've erased the DCEU's Justice League and therefore that series of films from existence. So, did the Flash film reset the DCEU and create the DCU, or is the correct interpretation that the DCEU is simply off elsewhere in the multiverse, and now we're simply following the DCU with the two universes merely sharing similarities?" And James Gunn responded and said, "Haha, oh boy, none of these things really exist, so it's obvious I didn't erase any films from existence. But if one really wants to pretend it's all real, the second is closer. You could say there are infinite amount of timelines, and the DCU timeline is almost exactly the same as a Peacemaker Season 1 timeline, with very, very minor differences. I mean, I think it's fair to say a lot of aspects of Season 1 fit in even less with the DCEU than the DCU. So Season 1 is kind of an outlier to begin with." What did I just read? That dude really didn't answer that question. He danced around and made a joke about things not being real. And if that's how you want to interpret it, it's closer to the second. And it's just more confirmation that he really had no plan to connect or bridge the DCEU to the DCU. And there should not have been a bridge, in my opinion, from the DCEU to the DCU. It should have been a complete new, fresh reboot. But they hired James Gunn. He wanted to keep his people from his projects from the Suicide Squad, and he wanted to keep them and bring them over into a new universe. So they tweaked that ending. That's the only thing they changed, and they brought them in. It was lazy. They used the multiverse as a lazy writing technique, just like the MCU has been doing. One day, I hope these big companies and studios will learn that's not the best route to go. You have to have good writing. You have to have a good story. And I don't know why they continuously go with these people who are not fit for leading and building a universe. It's just not. It's frustrating. On the topic of James Gunn, he also made a statement about Batman, and this was a statement on the DCU's Batman. He says, "We'll have to see what we're doing with Batman. We're figuring that out. Obviously, we know some basics and where it's going with Batman, but we're also figuring some things out. Everything's fluid." But is everything fluid, James? We really haven't heard anything about Batman the Brave and the Bold. There's been no script updates. There's been no casting updates. We've heard nothing. Every time Batman is brought up, it's the same. It's the same song and dance that we're working on it. We're trying to figure things out. We're going to get there. And again, if you've seen any of my previous videos, I think the reason for this is because Robert Pattinson is going to be the DCU Batman, and they just don't want to announce it yet. I think they're trying to mold the scripts from Brave and the Bold to the Batman Part 2 and put them together. I think there will be a Robin in the movie. I think James Gunn's script for Brave and the Bold had Damian Wayne, but I think Matt Reeves' script, I think it'll be Dick Grayson, which I never understood why in the DCU you'd start out with Damian Wayne as his Batman. I mean, as fans of Batman, we want a Bat family story told, set in a connected universe. And just starting with Damian feels like you're skipping all these stories. And if you listen to James Gunn, he doesn't understand Batman because he says all the Batman stories have already been told. No, they haven't. There's lots of Batman stories that haven't been told. We have never got a proper Bat family project to build off of every Robin adding to his war on crime. And there's so much to Killing Joke. There's so much out there that they could adapt into a movie. And I just don't understand when he says that all the Batman projects have already been done. It just baffles me. Another James Gunn quote. He just needs to stay off social media. I've been saying that. They need to just keep him away from social media. He was on, let's see. It was E. Scorpion Golden. He was on the chat about Peacemaker Season 2. And they asked him, he addresses whether Chris Pratt's DCU future as Batman. This says, James Gunn has finally broken his silence on how one of his former Guardians of the Galaxy stars fits into the DCU. Gunn took part in a recent interview with E. Scorpion Golden to chat about Peacemaker Season 2, and he was asked if Chris Pratt has a place in the DCU, specifically as Batman. Gunn ruled out Pratt ever playing the Dark Knight simply by saying, as Batman, no. However, he did confirm that there's a place for him in another role. As something else? Yes. The duo previously teamed up for all 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movies where Pratt plays a legendary Star-Lord. So, it sounds like he will be in the DCU. As who, we don't know. Of course, Gunn didn't go into detail on that. Just said he had him in mind for something. I figured Chris Pratt would be joining the DCU because James Gunn likes to use all his same actors that he's used before, and it has seemed like the DCU is kind of like an MCU 2.0 because he's just bringing over everyone that he worked at from Marvel over to his projects. However, the DCU does not have the same tone as the MCU, which was quite apparent with Peacemaker Season 2, and a lot of people are fired up about that, and me included, and I don't blame them. He put Superman out early on digital and said they're putting it out early so people can watch Superman and then watch Peacemaker. Well, if you're watching Superman, more than likely you're watching it as a family because it was a family-oriented movie, and they did a great job with Superman. I'm not hating on it. I very much enjoyed Superman. I very much liked that movie. If you saw my review, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I saw it twice in the theater. Really enjoyed it. But it is not the same tone as Peacemaker, and Peacemaker is not fit for families or for children to watch. And that's going to hurt the DCU when you're making projects that only certain people can watch. It's going to hurt. That's why I keep saying the MCU was for everyone, especially the Infinity Saga. It was for everyone. The DCU does not seem like it is. And now there's another rumor going around that James Gunn said that Blue Beetle fits in with the DCU, and he thinks the Blue Beetle could show up in Peacemaker, but they just have to retcon a few things. Well, if Blue Beetle is going to pop up in Peacemaker, Blue Beetle, again, was a family movie, made for kids. You're going to put that in Peacemaker? they keep saying, and James keeps saying, Frank Grillo has said that these last 3 episodes of Peacemaker, they don't want anything getting out because there's lots of surprises and twists. I hope they do not include Superman or Blue Beetle or anyone else in Peacemaker that you would have to watch and connect anything, because I'm not watching it, and it's not fit for families, and it's not comic book content. It's disgusting, vile garbage that James Gunn has put out. And it's not, people don't want to see that. You know my thoughts on that. I'm not going to keep beating a dead horse. A couple other things we have here is another candidate for the DCU Batman has emerged, but he's already Superman. So this weekend at Fan Expo Canada, Tyler Hoechlin was being interviewed. This says, during Fan Expo Canada, Superman and Lois star Tyler Hoechlin expressed his interest in portraying Batman in the DCU. While praising Robert Pattinson's portrayal of the hero, Hoechlin made it clear that if there was an opportunity to embody a new Dark Knight, he would jump at it. The former Superman actor also sees a chance to redo the Batman vs. Superman conflict in the DCU, although that doesn't seem to be Gunn's plan thus far. And this was his quote. He says, well, selfishly, I'm going to say no because I still want to play Batman. I think, and I say that Rob did a fantastic, fantastic job, and with Matt Reeves, it was great. So I'm happy to let them keep doing their thing, and maybe leave the door open for maybe an additional, whole new envisioning of Batman vs. Superman. I do not want to see Tyler Hoechlin as Batman. Not that I don't think he wouldn't do a good job. I'm sure he would do a great job. But I think Tyler Hoechlin gave us one of the best Superman performances, if not better than Cavill, right on par with Cavill. And I don't want to see him jump from that and go into another role as Batman. Because I think he is, right now, I think he stands as the best Superman and portrayal, best Superman and Clark Kent portrayal that we have ever had. So I would rather not see him as Batman. This isn't DCU news. This is actually DCEU news. But Jeffrey Dean Morgan was doing an interview, and he talked again about the plans for a Flashpoint Batman that Zack Snyder had with Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And of course, if you know that Zack did have plans to do a Flashpoint movie with Flash. Zack has even come out and said that Reverse Flash was actually going to be his main big villain that was behind pulling the strings on everything in his universe. Unfortunately, we never got that. It never came to fruition. And it's just another reminder of the things that we could have had and the things that we do have. We could have had a Flashpoint live-action universe, a movie done with Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne and Ben Affleck as Bruce, and them meeting. Could have been an epic movie, but instead of that, we have jokes and orgies, is what we have with the new DCU. So that's all I have for my DCU update. Let me know in the comments what you think of all the news I talked about, your thoughts, disagree or agree. If you do disagree, I ask that you just keep the comments respectful and that we can have a discussion about it. I don't want to see any negativity in the comment section. I don't want to see anybody attacking anybody or coming against anything. If you like it, great. If you don't, great. All film is subjective. It's art. Not everybody's going to like it. So be respectful with your comments is all I ask. And again, if you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos that I have coming out. You'll be alerted once you hit the bell and once you subscribe. Hope everybody has a great rest of the week. God bless everyone, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching, guys.